Hi everyone. I just first of all want to thank those of you that have contributed to GoFundMe. I have been able to take care of my deductibles and have my genetic testing taken care of and am preparing for time off work for the surgeries. And so I wanted to start by saying thank you for that. And I think I want to just kind of dig in to what it's like. This is really, like I said in the last video, for people to relate. Oh, I do want to say, if you see this on Instagram, the full videos in the GoFundMe account doesn't mean you have to contribute. I do appreciate it if you share, if you can't contribute, but you don't, of course, there's no necessity there. But the full videos will be posted there since I only get a minute on Instagram. So, with that said, I want to dig in and talk about what it's like to have breast cancer. And again, I do this for those people out there that might feel like no one understands, because it's a pretty unique experience. The hardest parts were not what I thought would be the hardest parts. I also want to do this to help friends and family of people who have breast cancer understand what the journey's like. So for me, it began with a lump in my breast. One I ignored for a while, not really long, but it wasn't growing, and so I should have gotten in earlier. I'll just be straight about that. It's intimidating. I was self-employed, and the thought of being diagnosed was intimidating, knowing I couldn't pay for it. So I went in when I felt like I could afford the diagnosis, which is a box I think a lot of people live in, where we have to decide what's best for us based off how many resources we feel we have. Can we eat healthy organic food, or do we have to decide to buy the cheap stuff that may not be as good for us? I mean, we compromise our health, I think, in little ways a lot of times, and not everybody does, but I know, being a person that was trying to run a small business without the level of income I needed to take care of my health in the way I wanted to. I mean, there are just a lot of different ways I compromise myself. So it begins by walking into a doctor's office and having them order an immediate mammogram, and seeing the urgency on their face is, I think, where the journey begins. For me, I went in, the mammogram was ordered to occur fairly quickly. I went into the mammogram, and right after the mammogram, they ordered an ultrasound. They had me stay, so they didn't have me come back. And I think that's the first thing I would share, is that feeling of, or something that's happened for me in this, where I'm like, if they don't get back to me with test results for a week or so, I know it's good news. If they don't get back to me with test results, it's good news. But when they call you the next day, or when they don't even schedule an appointment, they hunt down somebody in ultrasound to come and look. That's the moment where I think for me it sunk in that something was happening. And so they moved me from the mammogram into the room to do the ultrasound. The one thing I'll say I noticed about the treatment rooms is they're softly lit. They have lamps, even though it's a hospital. They have lamps, and the overhead lights are dimmed. It's a nurturing environment, and I think that's a thing about having breast cancer that I didn't experience when I had cancer before, is the nurturing environment of the medical facility. And I don't know that they're all like that, but I'm going to Timpanogos Regional Hospital, and they just, everything is dimmed lights. All the doctors there Anyway, I think probably the hardest moment, well, not the hardest moment, actually. The hardest moment came next. But sinking in, when it sunk in how dumb I was to wait as long as I did, is when they were doing the ultrasound and found 6 lumps in one side and one in the other. This had been growing in my body, and I'd been going about life like nothing was happening because I thought I had a lump that seemed to be growing slow. But as I watched the ultrasound, because they have it where you can watch it, as I watched it, I just remembering that realization sinking in that, oh, this is real. This is real. This is not a casual thing. And about the time they found the lump on the other side, I closed my eyes. I stopped watching because I thought there's no point. I realize how grave this is, and I don't need to watch them count lumps anymore. And after that, they left the room. They read the results immediately, and I believe it was an oncologist. I can't remember who it was, but he walked in the door and said, I'm just going to be straight with you. It's 95% likely it's malignant. And I had an interesting thing occur, and I think this happens for many of us, and this is the thing I want to share today. I'm going to share more of the journey, but today I want to share that moment, because in that moment I just wanted to be alone. I told him that they kind of wait for a reaction when they tell you. So I just told him, listen, I didn't just get cancer. I had an idea I might have a problem. So I'm looking at this as a solution. We've found this lump and now I'm here to treat it. So I'm not looking at this as a moment where something bad's happened. I'm looking at it as a moment as something good is happening. We're now going to treat. And I felt emotional in the moment. It was almost like this subconscious emotional reaction. And all I wanted to do was be alone. And this is the thing I want to share. I realized that about me. I didn't grow up in an environment where I knew I would be supported. And I'm not going to, and that's not anybody's fault. It's just the psychology of the time and the environment where I lived, that you just kind of tough things out. And so I just tough things out. It's kind of my second nature. And so I just wanted to go be alone where I could tough things out. And it was really interesting because the minute I walked out of the room, the group of everyone involved, the person who took the mammogram, the person who was there to greet you when you walked in the door, the nurse navigator, which I'll explain more later. You get your own personal nurse navigating breast cancer, I guess. The person that that assisted in the ultrasound, all women. The men that were involved weren't there. I don't know if that was on purpose, but they all stood there waiting to enfold me. And I don't know that I knew how to process that. I tell everybody all the time, my new nurse navigator is amazing, and all I do is look at her and I cry. I just I don't know, it's almost like permission of my brain to be vulnerable in that moment. So I think that's been the biggest thing in this experience. Is it's amazing how supportive the medical community is, but learning how to invite you in, invite everyone in, and let them have this experience with me has been difficult. And so I would say, if you know someone with cancer, be patient. Breast cancer is a personal thing, and I'll talk about things about that with the potential of what can come from it. But understand that the person going through it really does need to do it their way. Be there for them if they need you, but understand that there might be some moments we need to process what's happening to us. And for those of you, if you have cancer, and even if it's not cancer or breast cancer, if you have anything, let people in, tell your story. People do care about the story. I don't think people necessarily want to hear me explain what I want or give details. People want updates and stuff because they want to know what you're experiencing, not the details of the diagnosis. And this is how we connect as humans. So this has been a process of me for me to receive support in a way that I've never received it. Not because I'm asking for it. I've asked for it my whole life, but to actually receive it, to actually have this overwhelming outpouring of being held in a sense is really phenomenal. And so going through this process with breast cancer has its blessings and it has its curses, and I'll say that it's not a good thing. I don't want it. Would never wish it on anyone, but there are blessings in the journey, and I'm grateful for that, to get the support I have on my terms. And I think that's important. It's important for the person going through it to be supported, but it's also important for those of you that might be watching someone with it to support them on their terms, because it's exhausting. I'm really tired, and I have to make so many really rough decisions, and it is a financial burden, and it is challenging. And so people demanding anything of me right now is just too much. So just understanding and being patient, and really let the person who's going through it tell you what they need. And for those of you that are going through it, tell people how you want to go through it, how you want to be nurtured, where your boundaries are. So I'm going to check in again. I hope it won't be a whole week. But again, I just don't know. This is a bit of a roller coaster. Things happen pretty quickly. I have one more appointment next week and then surgery the week after. So I do want to get everybody caught up so that I can post updates of the process as it's happening, because I do want to share this journey, because there is so much about this I didn't consider. Even though I've had cancer before, this journey is a different journey. And so I do want to share it. So I'm longer than I wanted to go, probably far less concise, but it's the beginning of the journey. And and then we'll go through the rest together. So hopefully I'll be checking back in a couple of days. Again, thank you for those of you that have contributed, and whether you want to contribute or not, if you you can find all of my videos and the full story either on my YouTube channel or on GoFundMe. So thank you again, and I hope everyone's having a beautiful day. Thank you for being a part of this with me. Love you so much. Okay, bye.